breath. Today is December 12th? January? I'm still in December. Okay, January 12th. Today is January 12th, Saturday. And this channeling with a wisdom group, and it's on the law of gender today. This is one of the last 12 universal laws, even though we have found that there's more universal laws. But this is considered the 12th law, universal law. And it states that everything has its masculine, yang, and its feminine, yin, principles, and that these are all bases for creation. The spiritual initiative must balance the masculine and feminine energies within herself or himself to become a master and a true co-creator with God.
Greetings.
Greetings.
It is wonderful to be here among you again. And this time we are going to discuss the law of gender, as you would see it as a law, as such a way. But what are you? Yes, you are a gender yourself. That also means there is an aspect of yourself that is somewhat missing. Or it would seem that way in your perspective, that there is something that is not quite in balance with yourself, because there is a part of yourself in another place, another part of yourself that extends from what it is that you are. But there is a harmonization, even though you are in your individual groups, as you may see it as such, as for instance the male and the female, they have their own kinship. When they are together, they harmonize in a certain way. They are a family of one in that sort of sense. Now, when they are in commune with each other, it is a balancing, yes, of this energy, of the yin and yang, and it is accepting everything. That is not quite a word, but since it came out, we will just play with it. So you are harmonizing all that there is with all things, polarization of yourself, your sides, two sides of yourself. One side is usually always in a more dominant form. It is rarely that you see both sides, as you would see with your hands, that you use them equally the same. Now that has been done, and it can be done, and has been expressed in quite an ancient history, that a balancing of such energies can be expressed. Dual or a simultaneous part of yourself can be existing. But for this aspect, we are just going to mention there is a dominant force that is within you, being the male or female aspect in this regard, the law of gender. And it is in all nature, in all parts of the kingdoms that you may see in this earth, and also it is a part of the relative part of much of your planets, for they are also taking on certain parts that may slightly be one or more of an aspect of another. So we would see a harmonization happening here. And it is also the way that things are to be. There is a mutual agreement, a part of the physical and non-physical that come together in such a way that a mutual respect of both sides of your brain, for instance, can create and be a physical form of itself, of your thoughts, expressing what it is that is within yourself, that manifests itself. But it takes some time, just as the law of gender would be, that you are creating something. There is a time that procreation will take place, that it will have a just a period where it is simply forming, as you have formed into this physical bubble of biology that you are in. Your thoughts are in the same sort of period of time that takes some time for you to harmonize, to bring these aspects together, to form into a physical form. And so if you can hold and understand the vibrations that you are in, you can also manifest your reality in this way, knowing that there is going to be a gestation period in this. Knowing that there is going to be a period of time you must hold a frequency that is there, that will come about a thought process that forms in your reality, that becomes a part of you, that becomes a reflection that's a part of your reality at this point. So you are allowing this to be a manifestation of yourself. This manifestation takes place in all sorts of forms throughout your planet. You see it in the seeds as it takes place. The potentials, again as we spoke of last week, are there within the seeds already. It is in the potentials of your thoughts. They may not be in physical form. Allow them the space, the growth, the period of time it takes, and they will begin to proceed the energy. And it will manifest into your reality in such a way. So it is open to questions.
So let me ask you, in the gestation period of our development to be before we're born, before our delivery date, is not the balance there? Isn't it there when we're born and then we're almost programmed or we're taught to work out of one or the other because of our gender?
You have a preconceived idea before you are born what it is that you would like to come in as. You are, in fact, choosing much of this yourself. And as such, you are coming in with your own unique personalities and things and traits that you have come in with the characteristics that you've wanted to bring in. And then you are also taught beyond those points to be another sort of thing. And yes, you take on those other characteristics that you are around. You absorb the vibrations that you are personally around all the time. So it affects you in all sorts of ways. It affects you before you come to be, and then after you come to be. It is part of this flow of energy that you are. But then you begin to be as more of a dynamic creative source as you grow into a maturity sense of who you are. And as this tends to happen, then you bring on more of your aspects of what it is as you are the creator now in the mode, and redesigning some of this energy within yourselves and allowing what past things that are affecting you to be present or not. It is simply you are taking control now of your life in such a way. So there's quite a complicated dynamic. We are just trying to simply break it down so that you can see that there is quite a big picture here. And yes, you can be taking on dual realities where maybe one would have a life, and yes, you have many different outcomes. But as you change the vibration that you are in, you are now setting yourself on a new time period to be something else. You are now not going to be on such a different thing. It's like changing the tuning on your radio. You are changing into another timeline. You are changing yourself to another channel that the old channels are now not existing, not to the same degree as you were, or not even existing at all. You become something very different entirely.
So even though we have a preconceived notion before coming here, certain experiences can influence to change that preconceived notion that we had, if we so choose to do that?
Yes, many times the dramatic experiences that you have in this life will change the way that you would avoid pain, for instance. The way that you would want to go towards something else. It is what you are drawn to and what you are not, what you are also avoiding, what you are limiting yourselves because you do not want to experience maybe an aspect of that experience again.
But wouldn't we, having a preconceived notion, wouldn't we unconsciously have a drive to work towards creating that?
Yes, and that is within yourself, within the soul, part of your being. That is that drive. That is that longing that is within you that draws you to the flame, as they would say, maybe towards a moth and a flame. In the good sense that you are wanting to become a part of something that you do not quite understand all the time, but or you do understand aspects of it, or you fully understand, and you are wanting to become just that. You draw on those characteristics that you were before you came on to this life, knowing that this is going to be a part of you, and yes, it is the inner being part of yourself that wants to be a part of this new idea that you are, that you can become, or that you can work yourself into knowing of what it is that you want out of life. It's a natural drawing of the energy that you are now not just bumping into, but you are seeking in a certain way that you are allowing the ease of it to manifest for you.
So as you have observed us in our growth, in our short evolution, let's say in the last 100 years, have you found that many times we don't follow our bliss as much because we have this drive to be accepted, and we work at that being accepted by others instead of following our own heart?
It's a combination of some of that. You are different when you are with certain people in your life. You change vibrations when you are walking into new environments. And you do this intentionally to be accepted in such ways. But for yourself, the true acceptance of what it is that you want in your heart, that is going to be present in all those situations, whether you try to hide. Yes, we see that you hide these many times from those others, that you think your light wouldn't be so bright. And in some ways it may not be something that will shine so brightly to them, but in most cases you would be dastardly wrong, because that is the life force that is within you. That is your empowerment that you are withholding. That is part of what you have come here to express on a grand scale, and so you are doing yourself a great disservice not being a part of who you are in every moment. But yes, you are harmonizing with the other creator gods around you, the other people that are in their creative modes, the other creations that are here. And it's okay to be harmonizing with them, but it is also good to know and harmonize with yourself and trust what it is you have to bring forth.
I understand that those of us who have lived more than one lifetime, which probably is most of us or all of us, that we have been both male and female in different lifetimes.
And you would be most correct in many of those ways to see yourself. For you have all run the gamut. You have done much. You have experienced all of much of what you can experience. This is almost like the ending of a dream that you have allowed yourself to be. You have done it all. You have experienced much of what it is that you can experience on a human scale, on all the different measures of how it is. Now you are beginning to remember yourself, and now you are beginning to see what you can do with this idea. This can bring you to new energies of what it is your potentials are now.
So you're saying we have a new opportunity to recreate ourselves.
You have always had an opportunity to do this, and it is not quite a new one. It is a new idea that you are the responsible ones, that you are the ones that are the creators in the first place. For there's been quite a dynamic being limited in the way that humanity has thought of itself. And those ways have begun to make a change in the ways that you perceive yourself, that you perceive the world around you, and how you are harmonizing with all that you are, how you are harmonizing with everything around you. And as you are beginning to harmonize with yourself, and within a few breaths of yourself, you can heal much of yourself, which is also healing the world. Now, can you imagine what would happen if the world itself was healing in such a way, if humanity was harmonizing in such a way? That's the idea, as they are many more are beginning to wake up to the idea that they are a part of this earth, that they are connected in such a way that if they were to understand the healing power that they have, that they harness within yourselves, how much of a great effect that would bring out to the entirety of what it is that you are around in your cultures.
So is that not what's really taking place right now?
It is taking place in many different forms, and yes, that is exactly what is taking place. But as it does take place, we are not going to say that it is going to be a peaceful time, for it must be a chaotic time, for you are running the end of the gamut. You are putting everything on the table. You are seeing it all happen as it is displaying itself. And it's not going to be quite the end. It is going to be the end of the way that you have done many of your systems in the past. And it is going to be redesigned by you, humanity. It's going to be redesigned by what it is that you are going to put into this energy. This new energy is going to be what you put into it.
It's really a new beginning of a continuum, is it not?
Quite
New phase.
a beginning and a reconstruction of what it is that your energy is, how you perceive each other, religions, how you understand people in an educated source, how you see people in the ways that they are valuable. What is value is beginning to change here.
Right. So one of the values is, are we going to stay in this duality of male-female energies? Are we going to transcend that?
We are not going to say that you are not going to transcend that, or that you are. It is that male and female energy is something that is a part of this planet. It is something that you has been working in its own way. Now, you have dominant forces usually, as we were speaking of earlier. There is being an exchange as the baton is being passed over from one side to another, as there is somewhat of a simultaneous change also. We are not perceiving that certain things are going to entirely change, not even the pole shifts. We are not going to think that that's going to be a necessary thing that is going to be changing here rapidly, but you are all making a new adjustments. Now, where you're going to be in the timelines is going to be, honestly, up to you, what you guys are going to decide for yourselves. And so we can't even begin. We can look and monitor what the energies are now and kind of gauge where you can be. Many of you may have cascading ahas that will bring you to new ideas. And you, as you are walking in this graceful way of understanding and allowing the experiences of what it is that you are putting yourselves into, some of you are going to have more difficulty as you see more of the things that you do not want, so you can analyze it and understand it better. For this is not quite the ending as you would see it as. In others, there is quite a dual reality, even though another scenario is that there could be more of a chaos that it happens on this planet, but your life is peaceful. That's part of the dual reality that we might put and express into some of the ideas that can be happening here. So it is a few different ideas that are lined up, and you are the choosers, and you are going to be on your own vibrations that is accepting and the most comfortable to you in where you are. And what you perceive and understand internally as your awareness is going to be also the reality that plays out for you. So there's going to be somewhat of a bleeding of dimensions, as we might say, as the third dimension is somewhat kind of going away in a certain way, as you see time is also changing through technology and other means.
So we live in on a very chaotic planet. And we call this mother planet. Her name has been given Gaia. We are Gaian. In my own thinking, that's referring to woman or mother, but she's balanced. It's chaotic. I do see our eventual evolution as being one of balance, even though there will always be a little chaos. Why has it taken this long when we've always called this mother to accept and respect that feminine energy?
There's always been a degrees of respect and understandings of the earth, and it has been referred to as mother in certain ways because of the way it has brought you up and has raised you in a way that has evolved you as a species, as a human. And it has been a nurturing source, been the source of your which you live upon. Very interesting, because not all things live upon what it is that they are on, as you may envision, as it is out there. We are speaking of space now. For it is not always quite the same. Now here you have an interesting, beautiful balance, and it is that you have a harmonization of certain things and ideas. But these have also been part of your past as well. These harmonizations with the earth, there has been some that has respect the earth and has understood the earth in many different ways and have respected it in great deals. But the respect and understanding and wisdoms that were there have been changing over time. The belief systems have been changing over time. And as the relationships also have been changing with humanity and earth, although they are not separate from one another, they are very integrated. Not part of, or not aparted from each other in any means. But in the means that even if you were to leave this planet, you are always going to be Gaian. You are always going to be this part of itself.
You mentioned earlier about the right brain, left brain, and we've always considered left brain to be a male trait and the right brain to be the female trait. Are there many people on this earth who are more blended to where they create and think and feel with both sides of their brain? Can you put a little more, shed a little light on that?
Yes, there are people that are very blended with both sides of who they are. They are very versatile in both, and they have worked at becoming in this way. They have allowed narrow connections between both sides, and as this happens, this fuses more of both sides together, and this makes you more dynamic. In a way, in a sense, you are more coordinated. Can you imagine how well you would be if you were actually coordinated with this hand as you are with this? It is a simple understanding. If you were to simply brush your teeth, you would understand, some of you, of what we are talking about here. The keeper does struggle with this as he has broken one side of his hand to experience this for himself. But allow yourself this idea of balancing both, for they are both equally as important. As your planet has very much emphasis on one side of being creative, and creativity does connect you with much, and it has been somewhat swept under the rug, as it doesn't seem like it was that important before to be an artist, to be the great violinist. It is now becoming more of an aspect of connecting the dots between the two. It is the part of you that is the creating part of the expression that is coming through. But it is also being balanced by what you see and perceive in your physical relationship to all that there is around you. So there is somewhat of the idea of how your belief systems are structured and how it can manifest, so that your creative powers can be used and expressed in this reality. There's a balance between this reality and something else that is being drawn from the non-physical reality. It is also the balancing within your own heart, as you also have two different sections there, as your whole body is always going to be made up of these different polarized ideas. one sense being very different from another. And as you are making these connections and balancing this within yourself, you are going to see the dynamic, the fluency, the flexibility of your life beginning to unfold at a much more rapid pace, and how you are beginning to perceive ideas, your awareness, all of that begins to open very much at a quicker pace, because you are now integrating both equally at a much faster rate than you would normally be able to perceive ideas, light, energy. You're going to be walking in a more fluid knowledge of yourself in this way. It is that potential that you have.
Does that balance come with greater ease as we raise our conscious awareness? The balance of the feminine.
Generally, it does, yes. The balance is also overthrown sometimes, and this makes things very unstable as well, as we were very much expecting to see here. As there is being one side suddenly being shifted over to another, there's usually great chaos, as it's not quite easy to understand something. For instance, if you were to brush your teeth again with the side of the hand that you're not usually using, it's going to be a somewhat more of a difficult task. It's going to be somewhat of a kind of a change that you're not quite used to. And so there is going to be some resistance to some of that as a natural way of how you express yourself. It is trying to avoid the pain and be in your comfort zone, although it is shifting.
So is some of the influence, the positive influence that's coming, is it due to influence from many different other forces, such as you, enlightened beings, as many as the other end of the scope of aliens, as we call them, or extraterrestrials that are working with the governments and other humans?
There is a manipulation a little bit. There has been interactions throughout your histories that have been involved in such things. Yes, there has been a bit of things. But in general, of where you are going as humanity, it has been relatively been up to you. What is going to be happening mostly has to do with the energy that you are. But you are connected to the energies of the cosmos that you are in. And so you are going to be naturally affected, as you are affected by the planets and your own rotations and your own polarized ways of things that are here in this part of the galaxy, as you experience a new part of the galaxy, as you are spinning vastly through the space and time. You are creating and coming into new vibrations, and you are also dynamically changing what it is, the environment that you are in, the earth itself. The environment that you live in is also changing rapidly. It is part of the dynamics of all that there is. So if you can see yourself healing yourself, your environment within yourselves, within the self being of where you inhabit your own body, you are going to also see the surroundings of yourself begin to change as well. And it leads to the surroundings of the earth. It is almost like the other source energy, the other yin-yang that you are connected to.
We know from our physical sciences that the hormones within the body keep things balanced or not within us. Do we have an effect on the smooth functioning and production of our hormones? I mean, do we consciously, or maybe I should say subconsciously, control that?
It has been more in your subconscious nature to control much of these hormonal balances of what it is that you are. just allow yourself the idea that you can be taking these controls more back towards yourself. And you will. You will, dear ones, as you begin to explore this part of yourselves, that you can take more of a balancing and a more in charge role of what it is that your body can be doing. And more of this will naturally be taking that course as you are beginning to ride your own manual cars, your own manual bodies. As it's been, yes, very much on an automatic mode.
So we're going to go from more of a subconscious to a conscious control.
Yes. Yes, on many different levels.
Have all the people that are on this earth, Gaian, as Rick said, are they from here, or did we come from somewhere else? Do we have another source, a planet? I mean, are we Palladians as well, or whatever, Syrians? Or are we just all that are here, this human race? Are we all from this humanity, or did we come in from some other sources as well?
You have come in to being from two different sides of things. You have your non-physical self, and you have seen this planet as a place that you genuinely really wanted to see and express yourselves here because of the dynamics that were here. It offered you something that you truly saw. It wasn't just a little bit that you wanted to be here, it was quite a bit that you wanted to be physically understanding what it is like to be on this plane of reality that it is. Now, your question has to do with your origins. You have taken this light of your understanding of what it is that you are from all vastness of much of the cosmos, and you have taken and blended your lights with much of what else is out there. But your physical parts of yourselves are from this aspect of Earth. And what is Earth? And how was Earth made and formed? If we were to take you back into the ancient times of when the Earth was in the moments of through the black hole, as it was being spewed, it wouldn't look anything like it. It was particles. It was unstable. And then it became a form as the thought gestation period took place. As it began to birth, it began to create and form its own mold. Much of this, dear ones, are you as well. As you created your own light and turned your own light and understand what you were. As you were at this idea, this thought, this form, you begin to collect upon itself. And there was an earth that was created here. Now this earth wasn't quite the earth that it was when it was first created. It was in a very much more interesting form as it was heated. Very much so. It was dark. It had its own hotness, its own burning, and it was somewhat of a scarring for a while. But you saw this as an opportunity to be expressing yourselves in a free will reality. And so you found ways to connect with the earth and to be parts of the earth. And it was your time to be able to shine your light in a way that it can be part of this earth. And as the earth cooled, you became more denser. And the more denser that you could become was you were meshing your vibration with this earth plane of reality. Now you have, yes, different aspects of what it is from other parts of the universe that have been brought as part of the biology that is here on this earth. And so you have an integration of somewhat of a both, of your non-physical part of yourself and the physical part of yourself of being both sides of many different things. And so you are expressing yourself now as you are living on this plane of reality to allow yourself and run the gamut of what it is to be the human on this earth, plane of reality, to understand the new masteries of yourself.
Well, the story sounds very similar to how America was founded. You know, we all came from odds and ends of rejection into and created a space of heaven on earth, basically, is what the original intention was freedom. So is that where we come from? Is looking for freedom? Our original thought was freedom?
The original thoughts that you have come from are all within yourselves, are all within the longing that you have spoken of in this meeting here. It is within the heart that is there, that is in the consciousness, wanting to express itself. Is part of the reason that you are here. It is the digging, that is what it is that you look forward to be doing, or could be doing. It is part of all of that, and is also part of the new ideas. As you are accepting new ideas and you are becoming into new vibrations yourself, you are allowing yourself a greater rhythm of many different things. And as you are beginning to resonate more with that, you begin to see more of that in different aspects of that you didn't even know existed before that. Just like the smartphone before it was a smartphone. There are many different applications that you are beginning to integrate, tools and more that you are going to create. Humans are going to create for themselves. Do not think that we have all the answers at all. You are creating the answers for your own selves, your own planet. For you understand things on an integral basis that only you could understand and unlock this within yourselves. This is you. This is the universe within the universe.
Wow.
That's heavy.
Do you have some questions? You came in a little bit. And you're very new.
Just here to observe. I have a question about angels. Do angels have a gender? Are there angels with genders?
Yes, there are angels with genders. There are guides with different aspects of themselves, and there may not be always in the forms that you may consider them to be your guides and angels, for they take on many different forms.
We're moving into I know on this planet we call medicine, the medical world. And it seems though, as we move into a new form of medicine, we're getting into what we call energy medicine, where healing takes place because we're understanding vibration, energy, and we know everything is energy. We still have a hard concept with that. Why is it that it seems the female aspect of this planet accepts that in a greater degree, and the male aspect seems to push it away?
We would say this has to do with some of the conditioning that it is that you must be a certain way as a male here. And it is not just this way, but it's been this way on not just your planet, but it's been on this form in many different aspects, where you feel that it is that you must feel a certain thing, you must be a certain way, and express in a certain thing. You do not cry when you go to a theater next to a female. It is not viewed as a good thing. Unless we do not quite experience things on the emotional scales as you humans do, but we can see that there are certain conditioning ideas that have been passed along. It's very entrenched into the beingness of what it is to be a male or female. Now, these are natural attributes. You must understand that you are connected to the female side of you, as even though you are not quite the female or the male, if vice versa. But you have these energy connections on a more dominant side of yourselves. And so if you allow yourselves the connections to be made in a certain way that you can express more of what it is that you would like to understand, especially about energy, all things are moving in and out of energy as we have spoken of before, and it is a form of energy that you are all in. And when there is something that is a dis-ease to you, then you must look, yes, at what it is, the sources are, where it does resonate in the energy part of yourself. And yes, your scientists are beginning to understand this, as the medical field is beginning to explore this, as you see religions and spirituality and science and all the different aspects are starting to come together as they are seeing themselves as coming closer to an understanding that they're all related in some sorts of ways. And what that relation is to you, in you, individually, is going to be one that's going to resonate. One side of things is going to feel like it is going to work in a certain way for you, and your own energy pattern will feel that it is going to be a certain outcome. And so it may be. It is reflective of what your understanding and awareness is.
If we were in total balance, male and female, within ourselves, will we be able to manifest at a faster rate? Is that?
Yes, because you are not excluding one part of yourself. You are interpreting, you're harmonizing, you're polarizing both and seeing the aspects of all there is. Now, we're not saying that you must see this in a certain way to be completely balanced. For if you enjoy the kingship of what it is to be a male or a female, then you are also gaining a new aspect of yourself, because you may have been very male or female in another previous life that was opposite to what it was that you were before. In your previous time, you are experiencing another scale, but generally you come in to understand things over again, to experience a more depth to what it is that you are wanting. And it matters not in so many regards. You are all here experiencing what it is that you would like to be experiencing now. In this particular time, for you to be able to absorb what it is like to be just this form.
So if we observed that if something wasn't manifesting and we wanted it to manifest, we desired it to manifest, if we looked at our own balance, our male and female balance, that possibly that could, by that adjustment, could activate the manifestation process.
We were going to say that it is the balancing of yourself in all that there is, especially with the ideas. It's within the desire that is created out of understanding what it is that you would like to understand or perceive or to have happen. And then you move on to some of the belief systems that you have, the ideas that you can express this. And if you can mesh those two things, that belief that you can be able to do this, then you will begin to take a natural action as the chaos of the universe begins to line up for you. And you will begin to open yourself to many of these ideas and actions that will feel and seem right and will propel you into this idea.
So addressing your belief that you can actually do it.
It's addressing all the parts that you are. It is addressing the creative idea, the process of what it is that you are coming into, and expressing it into this physical reality. How is it going to be done? How is it going to work? And then you are balancing it within yourself. How does it feel to create this idea? As you are merging the mind and the heart together, how does this feel as an expression of myself, to be a part of this as my walk of life, this energy that will precede me, that will become of me? Then what is that? And as you are merging and these ideas are flowing, as these connections are made, as you are viewing it from these multiple ways, as you may be also seeing the fear side, the limitations that may or may not be serving you in these purposes, then you will see what it manifests for you. It is not going to always be the wants, because your belief systems are not always going to be lined up with such.
But it's the awareness that we could actually do this, that I could actually manifest and create something that I thought of.
You do all the time.
I know, but
And that is correct. If you were to imagine if we had a chalkboard here, you were just a finite little dot, and as you grew that dot, your awareness would be growing, and you would be able to take on more things. As humanity is taking on more ideas, taking on new lights, forms of energy, and integrating them with their technology, with their processes of life, and making an easier life out of it. It is that same dynamic. As it's proceeding and the awareness grows, you begin to get a little bit better at creating your dreams, your manifestations, and it becomes easier. The currency even becomes easier for such things.
I can see that. I can see that by my own experience, I can see if I just stepped out of the way and looked at how I could balance that male and female energy within myself, that manifestation of something that I thought that I couldn't have could actually become a reality. So by looking at it from a balancing point of view is helpful for me. Thank you. Wow. Aha.
Aha moment.
An aha moment.
We know that the veils that have been put together, that have been carefully placed, are they the same as dimensions? Is a veil like a dimension that has other purposes too? Are there those on this planet that move through a veil that have a greater understanding than some of those those of us that don't move along quite as quickly?
Perhaps we'll paint you a different picture here. We will consider the veils as a giant cascading cloth over a puzzle. And as you begin to take a part of that cloth away, or you were to tear it, you would see a part that you didn't see before. And there another person may uncover a part of themselves. This way, a new dynamic. Now, you must see that this is a great, grand veil. You have placed much of these veils in front of you intentionally. It is part of the human dynamic to be human. For if the veil was gone, the game was blown. You would understand, you would all go home.
We're no longer human.
So quit trying to ruin our game there, guy.
Play the game.
It is not quite that you are trying to uncover the veil as quickly as possible, but it is that you are trying to understand yourself. And as you are understanding yourself, you are beginning to unravel what is the veil, for that is beginning to be demystified in a way. You are beginning to understand the natures of what it is to not be in such a linear time. For instance, what it is to be somewhat the ideas that are beginning to flow with different dimensions as time moves differently in different dimensions. As certain things move to different ideas of what the vibration of the human can accept, and the new vibrations that are also coming in as you are moving into slowly another dimension. And it may not be always going to be the same for everyone, for there are going to be some that are going to be on the fringes that will get this a little bit faster. The reality will be somewhat different, and the world of what it is that's around them will be quite different altogether. And there has already been some humans that have approached that already and have advanced there. But for the majority, we would say that yes, this has been somewhat of a very much of a covered up sort of thing, and it has been intentionally placed as so. And some haven't even ripped or begin to even try to understand what is there, because they enjoy the dynamics of what it is to have that veil there, to be in this linear time, to live a life that is not quite so on the spiritual side as you may define what we are talking about here as such. But their dynamics of what they're living is right on course with what it is that they want to experience for themselves.
In other words, they're not as ethereal.
They are just as ethereal. They are just seeing a new perception of themselves through this physical bubble of biology that is created through the veil. So the veil that is there, that encapsulates all that you feel that is in this individual bubble of biology, as what you would call the human form.
So the collective that channels through the keeper, the group that is the voice, is it an equal gender? Do you consider yourself feminine or masculine? Or I know I understand by what you've been saying today. You get the balance. In your world of reproduction, do you come together as man and woman, as we consider that, to create and procreate?
Yes, there is always going to be a part of that is going to be resonancy with all things. You must see that it just does not happen the same way that it happens here, that it does happen on different dynamics, but the male and female aspects are in all things. There is polarity in all things. There's going to be some of it merging. Now, we're not going to say that there's also not, for instance, you have your own animals, your own certain things that can procreate and reproduce themselves using the same fashion of what they are. But there's still a convergence of both ends that are happening here. A simultaneous mesh of energy. And then there is the gestation period, which may be quite different on another realm, as it may be a very short one. As you progress yourselves in a certain way, as time begins to compress in certain ways, as you are beginning to expand and beginning to do things at a much more rapid pace, as you're taking on, as the film strip, as we talked about last week, begins to speed up. You begin to be able to have more of a fluency in what it is that you are doing, and things become a little more natural to be able to take in and manipulate the energy that is around you.
I think so much of this is hard for most of us to understand because maybe we haven't studied the physics and grasp that understanding of that time and space is just an agreed upon phenomena in our time and space. Do you understand what I'm saying?
That is the veil that you are speaking of. It is not meant for you to understand the infinite part of yourselves, the infinite part of all the vibrations that are around you that you can't even see. It is not meant for the human idea. It has purposely been designed this way, that you have this language barrier, you have these certain things that you have designed in this particular reality to be so. It is all part of what it is that you are in this veil of reality, so that you can experience and understand things from the idea of what it is to be human. And there is nothing wrong. Do not think that you must take this veil down to experience much, for you are experiencing so much already, understanding in this ways that you are understanding now.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to close a little early because the keeper has been having some physical issues. Can you help him?
We have worked with him during this time.
Oh, good. Is he feeling better?
He has, I'm sure, been feeling somewhat better.
We care for him, so we want you to help him.
Is doing fine.
Do you have some more information you want to share with us, or shall we?
Do we have one more question?
Somebody's got one. You wouldn't ask. Who has it?
Come on, Stevie, ask the question.
Right. In the future coming up, when I leave this body, if you see me hitchhiking, would you pick me up?
And take me
Take
home.
me for a ride.
You lead your way. Well, you have to come get all of us. You can't just pick up.
We were assuming that we are a certain sort of being.
Energy. You are energy.
The fact is, dear one, you are connected to all that there is. All of you are connected in your own certain ways. The fact that you are in this very room, you are in a somewhat of a similar vibration, or this reality could not even exist. You see that you have naturally attracted yourselves into a certain pathway, to be led in a certain way, to be part of this little area of this ride that we're on here on this part of our journey. Dear ones, to take and love what it is that you are doing with your lives. Honor yourselves in these ways. Honor what is in your heart, what is in those minds of yours, that you can express and do believe the great potentials that you are. Each of you are master creators here, and some have stepped aside for you to be here, to be experiencing this human form that you are in. Dazzle yourselves. It's been our great pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you.
You
Our
are a
pleasure
great
as well.
friend.